Okay, I just wanted to check in with you all. I'm not doing a live video, but I am really driving now. Going somewhere. I don't know why I didn't go live. It's just easy to push this record button. Anyway, I just wanted to talk to you about something that seems to be starting like all over again, and it's shock jock value is what I think it is, and just to see if there can be a reaction and to be as offensive as possible. And that is what is going on again with the victim bashing of Shanann, of her family. It seems that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. The family has to watch all of these creators that come up with these crazy theories, including that they themselves might be involved in the death of their loved ones, and they have to go through all of that, and they have to go through documentaries that seem to glorify the murderer. And finally, they get a documentary that is done in Shanann's voice. And it tells the story from the victim's point of view, finally. And it seems as soon as that was released, what happened was all of these creators decided, okay, let's go ahead, and this is a good time, we can bring it back. And someone came into our live, a lovely woman, last night. She gave us a lovely house tour, but you know, she started to talk about this, and me, and having not seen the video that she was speaking of, but having known the things that have come out from that creator before, as well as in the Facebook group, I knew just how horrid it could be. So one might hope that this creator wasn't going to go that route again. But yeah, we could wish and hope all we want. That's exactly where they went. And you know, with a new sidekick that really is such a yes man and came out of nowhere, this yes man, one can't help but think that it's not just a random person. But anyway, the bashing is starting all over again, and the person claims to be such a good thinker, a critical thinker, and such a person that can just fit in anywhere because they can relate to anyone and they know what's going on. But yet, from the get-go, from the time there was a podcast, and I talked about it, you know, 2 years ago, close to 2 years ago, when they could not have been more wrong about what transpired, and then tried to backpedal from there. It's the same kind of thing, and I said it then. My lives are still up there, and there were 3 of them in the podcast at that time. They just don't get it. They don't understand anything about the murderer's psychopathy. Again, with the rage snapping because of, they say things like Shanann was too bossy or controlling. Come on with yourself. My gosh. Oh my gosh. And then it built up and it built up and it just snapped. This man did not snap. He was not in a rage. He is in an emotionless person, a person that needs to look up, how do you feel when someone says they love you? There's a reason why Shanann said that the murderer, and I'm not even going to use his name because it's what he wants. The murderer was able to express himself best through letters. Well, there's a reason for that, because he can sit by a computer or a laptop and look up things. How should I feel when my wife feels this way? And then write them down, because he can't articulate them normally through regular conversation. And if you just think back to when the murderer was on the porch in Colorado, think of the words that he used. He didn't speak like a normal person. We had an emotional conversation. Who uses verbiage like that? Oh, I had an emotional conversation with my husband this morning. No, you don't speak like that. But for him, the emotional part, he wasn't used to that. So he wanted to make sure that he knew what he was talking about there. So instead of saying we had a disagreement, we had an argument, which would, if somebody has an argument, you can pretty well bet assured that it's going to be emotional, right? We had a talk, we had a tense talk. Most people speak with emotion, okay? Most people don't have a flat effect and, have no emotion to them. No, that's not the way most people converse with each other, especially with a spouse or a significant other, especially about something that maybe there was some contention with. You're going to know that it's going to be emotional. You're not going to have to say, we had an emotional conversation. But that was so foreign to him. That's what he had to do. Okay? So, that's insane. Wasn't in a rage. He's a psychopath. He's always like this. But he wore a mask. Was there a catalyst? Most certainly. Most certainly. But it's who he was. He wasn't changed because of who he married, unlike what his mother says, that he was perfect until he met Shanann, because that's false. No, he wasn't perfect. He hid and he masked very well who he was. And the other thing, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again, people ask, why didn't he just get a divorce? There's a very good reason why he didn't get a divorce. Because he cared very much what people thought of him. He cared about that, and that was a top priority to him, that people would see him as a good guy. He took that farther. When Special Agent Coder asked this murderer, how would people describe you? He didn't waste any time as he rattled off this paragraph that seemed to be sheer memorization of what people thought of him and how hard he worked to have people think that he was a nice guy, a great guy, a good guy, an even-tempered guy, a family man, a guy that follows directions, whatever it was. He rattled that off verbatim a few times. And that's another thing. When he spoke, it truly was that he memorized his lines. He was going through the motions, mimicking emotions, mimicking the way he should act as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a worker. It was work for him to do that. And that's why he could rattle off those things. Most people don't have to memorize things like that, and it won't come out of their mouth the same exact way every single time as it did with him. So he didn't snap. He did not snap. Think back to him that morning. I've said it many times. I'm in more of a rage unloading my dishwasher. I'm in more of a rage loading my car to go on vacation. If he processed things normally, he would have been a nervous wreck that morning. He would have been an absolute raw nerve. Did you see that in this man? No. And if we're even to believe, which I don't, by the way, that he brought those sweet little girls along in the back seat, and this man that is so calm on this video then goes and does the most unimaginable thing to these little girls. If you still think that man snapped after a 40+ minute car ride, after packing up the car, how can you think that somebody that's never snapped like that before is not going to come to their senses? No, it wasn't about that. He could not get a divorce because he cared so much what people thought of him. When he finally confessed, and Tammy and Coder asked him to mark on a picture, and they were talking about where the bodies were. They said something to him like, well, would your coworkers know? With the thought, when he thought about his coworkers, learning about what he did, because when he planned this, and yes, it was premeditated, it was not a rage. When he was thinking about this, he was so sure of himself. There was no question that anybody would find out anything, because to him, his plan was foolproof. Now, at the thought of his co-workers learning about what he did and where he disposed of his daughter's bodies, he almost physically got sick, because his image, that was everything he had. That mask and hiding that all of these years was everything. And now they were going to find out who he was, that he was a psychopath. He didn't snap. The person that snaps doesn't cover up something like that the way he did. He had no emotion, no love. He didn't even understand it. It was all what he read on the computer, how he was supposed to act, and he mimicked it. But yet, you have people going on and tearing apart a murdered woman and her children, tearing them apart and saying that it's to teach other people how they can be safe. And if these people truly believe this, oh my gosh, no, that's not what happened here. If you want to teach other people how they can be safe, teach them about psychopaths. Teach them about a person that's so invested in what people think of them and hiding who they really are, that they prey upon a woman when her health crises were at their highest and she was weakest, And when she pushed them away and said they kept coming back because they knew that she was weak at that point and that she would be their perfect prey, because that is exactly when and who they prey on when someone's at their lowest point, which Shanann was with her health. And he took advantage of that. So teach people about that. But don't lie. Don't lie and rip apart a person for your own enjoyment because it makes you feel better, because maybe you're jealous of her, because she's prettier than you, because she knew how to organize things better than you, because she was a better person than you, because she was better liked, she had more friends than you. You want to just tear her apart, or you have some sick attraction to murderers. And there's a history there, let's put it that way. And so you would naturally be jealous of anybody that was with that person, even if they were murdered by that person, because it's some skewed reality that you have that if you were with that person would have never done that, or that this could have. No, he's a psychopath. He's not going to be rehabilitated. He's where he belongs. So it's starting all over again, the bashing. But just to answer, if he had gotten a divorce, if he had done that, what would have happened to his image? What would the people at work have said? Oh my gosh, man, your wife is pregnant. She's 15 weeks pregnant. Can't you guys work this out? What are you going to do now? He's not going to be such a nice guy. And when it gets out that he got a divorce because he was having an affair on his pregnant wife and was going to rip apart their family, it was going to get even worse. Even worse. But if he could make his family disappear, well, then what could he be? A victim. People would be coming over with covered dishes and crying, and he could wait and keep that little affair secret and then have it naturally evolve. That's what he wanted. That's what he was going to do. But he didn't think, as most of these criminals and murderers, as we see in Joel Guy Jr., think they have everything figured out when they don't have anything figured out. They have it only figured out in their own head. They don't ever challenge. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And they're tripped up every time, but they keep doing it. So anyway, that is why he didn't get a divorce. He wanted to be a victim. He didn't want to be a bad guy that left his pregnant wife and his family. And he wanted to go on with his life scot-free. No strings attached. Nothing to worry about. His family vanished. Forever a victim. Didn't work out that way for him. He got caught right away. But the bashing is continuing. And all I can say is that I don't know what we have to do, because YouTube's own terms of service says abuse of vulnerable individuals and bullying of a deceased person, etc., and the family should be against the terms of service. So I think action needs to be taken, but it's disgusting. So when that person came into the chat and then said this, I did listen to that, and I as much as I could, not much, because it was disgusting. I kind of fast forwarded it, and one of our ramblers was there trying to talk some sense into these people, but there is no use in doing it, that you're not going to get anywhere. The only place we're going to get anywhere is making sure, like, YouTube would enforce their terms of service. What a nightmare. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's the Rzuceks being so happy, Shanann's voice being heard, and yet it's like a battle cry to this other side that just cannot stop bashing this woman. It's crazy. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think should be done? Do you think anything can be done? How do you feel about it? Let me know. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.